The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties. Well, hello and pleasant good evening to you. It is Thursday, April 6th. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with my co-host, Jehuu Choo-Choo Caulcrick. Otis is down in Jumanji land in Disney on assignment. He just tried to get in, but it was a little loud. I mean, we saw princesses, we saw castles, right, Chew?
Now they're on the way to see Pinocchio.
Yeah, on his way to see Pinocchio. So we're going to leave that out of here. Thank you for watching the show live. We've got a special guest everybody wants to hear from. But, don't forget to click the subscribe and like buttons on YouTube. Enter the chat. Ask questions. We'll answer live. Ask something for Ike. If you got something, Ike's going to be on here. But don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. This is how to do that. Thanks for tuning in to This is Sparta MSU. Interested in hearing more from us? Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. Click on the link in the bio to head to our link tree for more information. Help us grow our following by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Tell your friends and family to do the same. Have an idea for a future episode? Let us know in the comment section below. And now, back to the show. Choo-Choo, do you know what today is?
What is today?
It's not our anniversary. It is National Student Athlete Day today. Happy National Student Athlete Day.
There you go. Very nice. Great day to commiserate these athletes who put it all out there on the line. Coming into a school, you have the load of, the academics and the athletics. As John L. would say, you're a student first and an athlete second.
As you put up the number 2, then the number 1. So it was a little backwards there. For those
I know. That's
podcasts.
What he would say.
I know. For those who aren't visual, on the YouTube, and you'll see what Jehuu was doing. But just for those who wouldn't. That's it. Athletes first.
No, student first.
Oh, student first. That's it.
Athlete second.
Otis Wiley says, my guys have a good show tonight. He jumped on. We'll do the best that we can. Hello, Pancakes. What's up, everybody? Rolanda. Yes, like and share and drop those stacks. We love it. We love it, man. Hey, and Choo-Choo, like this past weekend, you were at a celebrity bowling event with none other than Drew Stanton. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Drew came on and he talked about his bowling event there for the Special Olympics. And, it was a great event. A bunch of former guys came out there, even, for Lions fans. Calvin Johnson, a.k.a. Megatron, he made an appearance there. Mm-hmm. It was a good cause. It was really cool to run into some, former teammates of mine and, and see exactly where all the funds and everything goes to is these kids, for Special Olympics and everything like that. They were there, and some of these kids could bowl. They could bowl. So it was really cool, and it was a good experience. If you have an opportunity to sign up next year, definitely do that. My team did come in second place. The winning team, I think Greg Jones's team was the winning team, and he had a ringer on there who's bowled a couple of 300 games in his day. So we were talking about there was some like setting the deck action going on there by Greg Jones. Who else was there? I saw Greg in the pictures. Dougie Fresh saw that. Greg Jones was there. Keith Nickel. It's escaping. Can you pull the picture back up there, Pete? Richard Bryce, Ross Weaver. So there's Greg Jones. Good time, man. Everyone came. There was good food, good drinks. Drinks were flowing. Let me tell you.
You called from there, and I heard a lot of "he's a jolly good fellow." I mean, it was going on in there.
He's a jolly good fellow.
Hey, Tony G's checking in on the sky over Omaha, Nebraska. Pick up some steak for us. Hey, Tony G on the side. We got a little thin crowd, but we got a lot of content. We're going to talk about that in a second. But let's promote this, guys. We're having our first MSU. This is Sparta MSU, that is, subscriber special event. It's going to be at the Field House in East Lansing right after the spring game, April 15th at 5 p.m. We're going to just tell you right now, Jacoby Windman, Cal Halliday, and King Kong Keon Coleman will all be in attendance. So we got a receiver that's just dynamite and 2 special linebackers, guys. Chew, this is going to be a special event, and you're going to be in rare form, right?
Absolutely. It's going to be great. I can't wait for this event here. The best thing about this event that I can't wait for is just to hang out with everybody, all the people that gather on Tuesdays and Thursdays to make this show what it is, have an opportunity to come there, kick back, have a bevy or 2 or 3 or 4, and, have a good time.
That's right. Always drink responsibly. As Steve Smith just said, make sure you're subscribed. That's easy to do because this is what's going to happen. You're going to come to Fieldhouse. You're going to see Choo Choo. He's going to be right at the door. Check-in phone. So you got your cell phone. Everybody's got one of these. Everybody's got YouTube on their phone. He'll teach you how to do it. It's not that hard. He'll help you out. Doesn't cost you a thing, but helps us out a whole lot. Choo Choo, that's your job. We didn't talk about this, but we've just decided as a group behind the scenes that you're the man for the job. Yeah. Absolutely. It'll be fun. Choo Choo gonna wear that pink paisley jacket. What will Choo wear? That's the other thing, man. What you thinking?
You have to show up to see.
You got to show up to see. Well, look, we're going to get to our special guest after this message from our friends over at IHOP.
When you're smiling.
Introducing IHOP's new Eggs Benedicts. When you take a poached egg, add it to a crispy English muffin, fire-roasted poblano peppers, and shredded beef with our rich and buttery hollandaise sauce. You don't just get our handcrafted new Eggs Benedicts on your plate. You get a smile on your plate. New Eggs Benedicts in 4 delicious flavors, only from IHOP.
So you ever been to Ohio?
To Ohio? Have I been to
Ohio? Yeah, the school, Ohio. OH10.
I try to stay out of Ohio.
You try to stay away from it?
Yeah.
You ever been to Cincy?
No, I haven't been. I've been to Cincy only like when we played the Bengals, that's it, in and out. And,
man, look, we got
because dudes like this. Because dudes
Cincinnati.
This is the reason.
Spartan Dawg through and through. Ike Reese joins the show.
What's up, fellas? Hey, listen, don't be talking bad about the OH10 in Cincinnati, man. Come on, man.
I was gonna say, Ohio's like that, like the armpit of America.
Well, here's the thing. Cincinnati and Michigan State has had a great relationship, right? We've had a great relationship, and so obviously there are plenty of players that have come out of Cincinnati that they went on to Michigan State to do some great things. And quite frankly, if you're talking about football in the Midwest, it's Ohio football that's the best. Come on, man. That's when you're going to get your best football. Ohio. Come on, man.
Ohio players are better than Michigan players. Or Illinois jumps in. Indiana, I mean, we got a few. We got some hoopers. We got a
basketball, man. That's basketball.
That's all hoop. It's all hoop. I mean, Choo Choo, he claims that Western New York, though. So it's a whole different subject right there.
And Western New York can't actually claim anything. Like, really?
Are you kidding me? The only true NFL team in the state of New York, the Buffalo Bills.
I want to argue about that. Yeah.
All right. Some dogs coming in.
those other two teams are in Jersey. You're right.
Exactly.
You're right about that. No, so, I talk about your days going back to Cincinnati, like when you were at Aiken High. And who recruited you to Michigan State? I know you have a couple schools that you were looking at. So, like, who are those schools that recruited you?
I got to tell you, Kip Waddell was my
primary.
Was my recruiting guy out of Cincinnati, and I had met Kip. It's funny because Kip coached my older brother when Kip was in Cincinnati coaching at Hughes High School before he went on and coached at Western Hills. And here's the ironic part about that. God bless the dead and rest our brother, Tuda Rob Sherrills, who was at Western Hills. He's also from Cincinnati. And he was part of the 92 class that came to Michigan State. But we played in the same conference, and Kip was actually down there to check up on some other Western Hills players. They just happened to be playing us, and Tuda was the quarterback of that team. And I happened to have a good game that game, and that's how he saw me. So that's how I actually got recruited. He wasn't even there to see me. He was there to see Tuda and I think like 3 or 4 other players. Western Hills was a pretty good school at that time out of Cincinnati football. And like I said, I just happened to have a good game that game, and that's how he noticed me. And that's how I got on the radar for Michigan State, was playing against arguably one of the best teams in the city at that time. And by the way, they beat the snot out of us, but I played well that game, and that's how I got noticed.
That's all that counts.
That's all that really matters. That's all that really matters.
So you're getting recruited there. And so what was that transition? What was the decision? What drew you to Michigan State? And what was it like when you first came to Michigan State? Was it a culture shock? Was it, what was it?
Hey, Choo-Choo, it was all of that. So here's the funny thing, right? I played 1 year in high school of football.
Oh.
And that's only because the football coach, who was also my gym teacher, Mike Brown, he needed more guys to come out for the team. And I was playing basketball in high school at that time. I had my hoop dreams at that time about being a basketball player. And it's funny, he came to me after the season and he was like, listen, man, I know you love basketball, but if you want to play athletics at the high school, basketball ain't gonna get it done for you, man. Like, so that was his way of kind of trying to tell me that I ain't as good as I think I am, you know what I mean, as a basketball player. And he's like, son, you got a brighter future if you give this a shot versus playing that. So I go out for the football team. Obviously, I'm a raw athlete. I'm just a raw athlete playing football, and they do the best they can with me. And so I didn't get recruited by very many schools. So I think the only schools I got offered from was Michigan State, University of Cincinnati, University of Illinois, and Ball State University. So a lot of people don't realize also, fellas, I didn't play my senior year in high school. So that was my junior year that I played. So, wow. Yeah, I only played 1 year of high school football. I played 1 year of high school football my junior year. Yeah.
And you skipped it. You skipped the senior season.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say I skipped it.
Well, you were told to skip it.
Listen, it certainly wasn't by choice. So long story short.
Right.
I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade.
Okay.
So I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. I was at a different school. And so I transferred from the school that I was at to Aiken High School, the school I wound up going to and graduating from, because a little league basketball coach that had remembered me from our days of playing in little league basketball wanted me to come over to Aiken High School to be a part of their basketball program. But I lived on the other side of town. So I really wasn't in that school district. So forget about the part I dropped out of high school. We don't need to go deep into that part. I was in the other stuff at that time. Yeah. So
all a work in progress.
Yes,
right. This is good though. This is a message to a lot of people who are going through the similar
right.
thing.
Yeah. So when they got me over there, it was the best place for me. It was structure. It was a structured environment. It was something that I gravitated to, but because of the basketball team, I gravitated to them. We were a pretty good basketball team in the city and in the state. And so football, really, I only played because, again, the gym teacher, who was the high school football coach at the time, Mike Brown, persuaded me to come out to play. So I wasn't necessarily a highly recruited football player out of high school. And the schools that were interested in me, once I was ineligible to play my senior year, not because of grades, but for the simple fact it was my 5th year in high school. So that made me ineligible, even though I hadn't necessarily participated in sports all throughout high school. I'd only participated in sports for 2 years. And so, long story short, I was ruled ineligible. A lot of the attention that I was getting sort of dried up, and Michigan State stuck with me. Michigan State stuck with me. They understood the circumstances I was in, and they thought enough of me and my potential to say, you know what? We still want to offer this kid a full scholarship. So, and when I took the visit to Michigan State, here's the funny thing. I had visits set up to Cincinnati and Illinois after Michigan State. I took the visit to Michigan State, and I loved it so much. The first night I was there, I committed the next day. I committed that Saturday, I committed that Saturday. I mean, you got to realize, I'm coming from the hood in Cincinnati, and the very fact that, and you guys know what I'm talking about when I said, the very fact that I was getting a steak, baked potato, and cheese soup, oh my goodness. Listen, I said, I better commit before they find out I can't play football and decide. So they didn't even realize. I was more or less like, yeah, let me sign on the dotted line today before y'all change y'all mind. Before anybody changes their mind, let me go ahead and commit right now. And obviously the players, and I didn't know it at the time. I kind of realized that afterwards, once I got to Michigan State and became a student and a player there. But it was the perfect atmosphere for me. It was the thing that felt most like home to me. It felt like home. So all of my old heads, the Juan Hammonds, the Myron Bell, Ricardo Jackson, Bryce Abrams, all these guys, Juan Hammonds, who was my host, like all these guys, they showed me so much love. I was like, oh, this is the place I have to be. This is where I have to be. And it's the Big Ten. I'm from the Midwest. Big Ten football is what it's all about. And I was like, man, you know what? Before they change their mind or anything, I'm like, dude, I'm here. I'm coming. I'm here. I'm here. I said, we'll figure it out later. I'm like, we'll figure it out whether it's the right spot later. But I'm in right now. I'm in.
So, one of the big things that, because you just played football 1 year in high school. I played, I didn't start playing football till like my freshman year in high school, but didn't know anything. You talked about raw talent and everything like that. Yeah. I didn't know anything. I was raw talent. I was just, get ball, run, score touch. That's it. I didn't know the game of football. I didn't know how to read a defense. When I first came to Michigan State, we're in the running backs room, and the coach said, "Hey, where's the mic?" And I was like, how you have to identify the mic. But I was like, I don't know, like the other room. So how was that adjustment with learning the game for you?
Right. Right. And I was the same way. And Choo Stray will tell you.
Oh yeah.
You remember Oda, you remember Reggie.
Oh yeah.
Like, Reggie,
come on. That's the guy.
Reggie basically taught me the game of football. Like
he was bright.
Yeah. So and we were in the same recruiting class, and he was starting as a middle linebacker as a freshman. So I redshirted. And so I didn't get to travel when they had road games. Mm. So I used to have to have him explain to me what he was doing, what was the responsibilities of the linebackers in the defense back in our dorm rooms. Mm. So we would record the games, and he would have to go over film study with me just so I could understand it. So because I was afraid to ask questions in the meeting room.
Right.
Because I didn't want anybody to know that I didn't know what I was doing.
Did he talk to you in different terms so that you could understand it differently? Because sometimes, yeah.
He couldn't use football terminology with me. It was like all that A gap, B gap, C gap stuff. I was like, because in high school on defense, it was more or less see the football, go get it.
Right.
Like, when they hike the ball, go get whoever has the ball, go get them. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, I had dreams of being a wide receiver. That's what I really wanted to be. I thought I could be a wide receiver. And then I'm like, dude, I want to score touchdowns. I don't want to
of course
tackle people. Yeah. And until I realized when I got up to Michigan State, and I realized it's a different level of speed playing wide receiver in the Big Ten than it is in high school in Cincinnati. So, yeah, my dreams of being a wide receiver quickly died.
Don't let people don't try to let Ike fool you guys. I mean, Ike was one of the best athletes I ever seen. You and Nigeria.
Thank you.
Hey man, y'all used to run out of your bodies, man. I mean, the conditioning level, these kids have no idea what they used to put us through, and the way you guys handle that. But like, talk about what you brought up with Perles. I mean, he took a chance on you. You barely had any film, right? You didn't have a lot of, pedigree in that world, but he took a chance on you. Then, looking at how compared to how it is today, where guys have to win right now, they don't take a chance on an Ike Reese in Cincinnati today as they would. So talk a little bit about that, the difference what you see from what you came out in versus today and the pressures that the coaches have.
Yeah, it's so much different. And I thank God I did come along at the time that I came, because I don't know if I would have been given the opportunity that Michigan State and George Perles gave me. And I'm glad you brought up GP, because I would eventually got to coach. God rest his soul as well. Man, if not for him and his ability to open his arms to guys that a lot of universities wouldn't touch if they come from the same background that some of us came from. We talk about being a Spartan Dawg and what it means and all those things, and I know that has evolved and changed the meaning behind it, but the core of it is still there. And a lot of it is you're one of those people that people didn't believe in, but you're a fighter and you've overcome certain obstacles and adversities in your life. And George Perles had an affinity for those type of kids. And he saw potential in kids who didn't see potential in themselves. He saw potential in those kids that maybe didn't come from a pristine background and had some character flaws or issues, but just really needed guidance, maybe some tough love, some structure, things that you would get in two-parent households that are in middle-class America versus coming up in a single-parent household in the inner city where you're surrounded by nothing but obstacles and adversities, where people try to pull you down versus trying to help you ascend in life. Like George Perles was able to find plenty of those diamonds in the rough. And I thank God that he saw that in me to recruit me, not only recruit me, but to stick with me, knowing that I didn't have necessarily the extensive background in football that most recruits have, because he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself or believe in myself. I was more or less looking at going to Michigan State as an opportunity to get out of the circumstances I was in. I had no idea of the other avenues and opportunities that could be there and afforded to me by having an opportunity to go to a university like Michigan State. Not only go to a university like Michigan State, but not have necessarily the financial burdens that most students have when they attend college. I didn't have to worry about that, like we didn't have to worry about that. And it's when I think about the people that was placed in my life to help me get to where I'm at, I always start back at the beginning, and it starts with him because he was the head coach. And I don't care what coach recruits you at that time. If the head coach isn't on board and is willing to stick his neck out for you, because he could easily take that scholarship and give it to some other kid if he wanted to. But they believed in me, and I promise you that I never wanted to let them down or let him down or have him regret giving me that opportunity. And that was always a part of my driving force and the motivation to not want to fail and succeed, just so he and others that gave me that opportunity could be proud of me. So yeah, George Perles, I forever will always be indebted to him.
Man, I mean, it's like, you touch on a lot of points there, man. And when you look at what Perles used to always talk about, man, when you're tough, you look for tough guys. That's his DNA, like that he's looking for. You one of those guys, because he said if you're tough, you can win. When you talked about overcoming different challenges, based on your circumstances, one parent versus two parent households and all those things. Yeah. You said we talked about this before you got on the show. Like if a lot of times when you look at today's players and you go back in era, different times throughout the history of the game, they may or may not fit in those different eras. So, looking at the linebacker position, basically. Linebackers, when you and I played, some of them was, 6'4", 6'5", 260 pounds coming downhill. You know what I mean? Like that guy doesn't exist today, right? Not a linebacker. I mean, he got his hand in the dirt if he does anything, right?
Yeah.
But you are one of those rare guys that could go through almost any era and still be effective as a football player because of your toughness and the way you carried, you wore your emotions on your sleeve was what all the football players gravitated towards in the locker room. But, when you move from Perles over to Nick Saban, he comes in, what is that like for you? Being the defensive guru and arguably the all-time greatest coach of all time in college football history, like what was that like for you?
It was a eye-opening experience for somebody to have the knowledge of the game that he has and coaches with the passion that he coaches with and what he demands out of his players. You go from thinking you got it all figured out as a player, as a young player, and then you realize you don't know anything, right? So I redshirted my first year, and then, my first year of playing, which I believe would have been your freshman year, Stray, in '94.
Yep.
I led the team in tackles as a freshman, as a redshirt freshman. Led the team in tackles. I think I was second, or tied for second or first in sacks and tackles for losses, things of that nature. But Coach Perles wound up getting fired, and Nick Saban came in. And playing under Hank Buller, shout out to the great defensive coach Hank Buller, who was our defensive coordinator in '94. He used me a different way than what Coach Saban did. So to get to your question, I had to sort of learn how to play football all over again. So I had a coaching staff prior to him that allowed me to just go out there and be an athlete. Go be yourself. We're not going to try to confuse you or bog you down with a bunch of different assignments and responsibilities. We want you to just go attack the football and let your athleticism take over. Nick Saban wasn't having that. Like Nick wasn't having that. He didn't recruit me. So I had to basically earn his respect. And because he was such a tactician when it came to defense, I don't care how good I felt I may have done in practice or in a game, like coach was gonna let you know that wasn't good enough. Like, that ain't good enough. I'm putting it mildly, like real
mild.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna let you know that ain't good enough. And so, but I'll tell you what, though, Stray, and you know this. What it did is it forced me to not be complacent. And so just when you think you've worked hard enough, you think you've done enough, and you can't do anymore, challenge yourself. I guarantee you can do more. I guarantee you can do better. And that's really what the message he was trying to push. But when you're young, you think you know everything, you're like, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, I didn't really come to this conclusion until years later. Yeah, like I was already in the NFL by the time I came to that conclusion. But it makes you think back on it, and you're like, oh, okay, that's why he wanted me to do that. That's why he wanted me to do that. So yeah, I treasure, man, Stray, can you, like, we can honestly say, like, we played for the greatest coach in college football history. There is no question. He is the greatest coach in college football history.
Yeah, I say arguably just for those. I'm waiting on that person.
Got one person, one fool.
No, he is.
So, Ike, so coming to Michigan State, going through Coach Perles, and I thought, the one thing I love about, listening to you guys talk about, like, everybody, you have people that like, man, I didn't like this coach, or people like coach. I haven't heard anybody that played for Perles that didn't like him.
No. That's a good observation.
Coming in there and seeing, how people work, like going to these events, and he was there, like guys that played years in the league, like you. He said, "Hey, coach, you good? You want me to get you a drink? You want me to do that?" Like, that's just like and for me as a younger Spartan Dawg, is just looking at that for you guys. It's like, wow, this is like something that's really cool. And, it's like, you never really see anybody, because some people have, there's hit or miss with their coaches.
Sure.
And then all the Saints and, like who drives?
The
dummy. So all those things. So, but, so coming from, high school, playing a year of football, coming in, when did you know, like, man, football could get me, I could play at the next level. Like, I do have a shot. When was that moment for you?
You know what? It's Coach Pease, he was our defensive coordinator under Coach Saban. And I remember Coach Pease talking to me my junior year. And by the way, man, Coach Pease, man, you're talking about, when you have, like, you got the good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Like Nick didn't care about being the bad cop. Coach Saban didn't care about being.
He loved that. Yeah, that was him.
You better hope your position coach wanted to be the good cop. So Coach Pease, he was our defensive coordinator, and he was like the good cop. So he's the one who told me my junior year, because I asked him, I flat out asked him, did he think I was good enough to play at the next level? And, he was honest with me. He told me there's things you need to work on. Your size is always going to be an issue for people, but your toughness will always be something you can rely on. Your toughness and your speed, your athleticism be something you'll be able to rely on, and your knowledge. But people will always wonder, is he big enough to play linebacker, or is he big enough to hold up playing that position? And so he's the one who really got me to believe I could play at the next level. He really did. And that was my junior year. So it was after my junior year when I was thinking about coming out early. I tell you, Coach Saban found out I was thinking about coming out early. Yeah. He wasn't happy about the way he found out about it. Because I actually thought you and you guys know former Spartan Dawg, Ike Mega Man Griffin.
Of course, yeah. Sideline reporter way back,
yeah. So Ike was doing a radio show in Detroit back then, and he I still never get this. He brought me on, and we were talking about just Michigan State stuff, and it was off the record where he and I was talking. Yeah, it was off the record when I was like, you know what, man, I'm actually thinking about coming out, man. And he went on the radio and said that. Oh my goodness! And he asked Coach Saban about it. And Coach Saban felt like he got blindsided and didn't know how to answer the question. Boy, I got as soon as I walked in that building, like, Coach Saban want to see you. I'm like, I don't even know what he wants, so I'm like, okay, what's up, Coach? I'm saying, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God. So of course he yelled at me or nothing. I was like, I don't know what he talking about. I didn't say that, Coach.
I didn't say that.
Man, hold on. So I forgot the question you asked me.
No, you talking about like Dean Pease.
Yeah, like when was the moment that you knew you were gonna,
yeah. So definitely with that. But then back to Coach Perles. So here's what Coach Perles told me prior to the draft when I came out. He said, listen, because I asked him what he thought about me playing at the next level. He said, listen, you're gonna get drafted. I don't know where you'll get drafted. It'll probably be in the middle of the late rounds, but you'll get drafted. He said, but you'll be a guy that will always have to prove that you belong. In other words, even if you get drafted, you can't relax as if you made it. You have to, you're going to have to be a guy who proves himself every year. And it's probably going to be in a special teams sort of role player type of a situation for you. That's the one thing about Coach Perles. He kept it straight with you. He told you what he thought. And I was happy that he told me that, not because I wanted to come in the league as a backup player or I envisioned myself being a special teams player, but because when that reality became a reality, I was better equipped to handle it. As opposed to feeling like I'm being disrespected, I'm being undervalued, and this and that and the other. And that's how I was able to turn my career into a 9-year career. Because I was able to at least find a niche in a role that I could fill and be the best at it. And that allowed me to be one of the best during the time that I played at doing what my specialty was in the league, which was being a backup player and a special teams player, which helped me get to a Pro Bowl, at least one. I should have been to 3, but I got to 1. And don't worry, I ain't bitter.
You got there when the Pro Bowl was fun and was
man. Who knows what it is now?
But having that perspective of you know what? Nothing's gonna be given to you. You're gonna have to work for it. It allowed me to come in and have a longer career than a lot of my peers that I came out with. Right. They didn't have the right mentality.
Yeah. Oh, it makes all the difference, when you think about that, because you said that you're gonna have to work for it. You get that prepared you, because there's guys that dogs that have a different mentality. They went into the league, and if you're not humble and understand, like, look, this is your role, fit it. Yeah. Similar to what you've seen with Draymond, right? Draymond is a guy who was that, and he's excelled at that. He's excelled at that role, right?
Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer.
Because of the role, exactly. Yeah. Right? And he's not at all what he was at Michigan State as a player. But, I remember Dean Pease, you brought him up. I remember when we come in at halftime, and we split up offense, defense after everybody's done, getting their fluids and shoulder pads off and all that. I couldn't tell who that the cussing between Saban and Pease was so like on point, like the succinct. It was hard for us to decipher like who was yelling, who that was over there because it was usually a curtain. But Pease, man, just retired, right?
Just
now.
Retired, man.
Just now.
Just
I
retired.
mean, great
And
coach.
Check this out straight. And Jehuu, not even lying. Now this is after the first time he retired. So you know.
Hey, I know he's retired a few times.
Yeah. So Mike Vrabel brought him out of retirement, I believe. So the first time he retired a couple years ago, he called me to say thank you for being one of. So I felt so honored to be one of the players that he felt obligated to call when he was retiring. Like he's coached so many players throughout his coaching career and throughout his time. You know, that time at Michigan State meant something to him. And I was honored that I was the guy that he called to say thank you to. Thank you for being a player for him. And, man, we talked for like 20, 30 minutes on the phone. And I was like, man, I'm like, Coach, dude, you're the same way you were, man, when I was 19, 20 years old back at Michigan State all those years ago. And we've crossed paths a couple of times. As a matter of fact, he was the defensive coordinator on the Patriots when they beat us in Super Bowl 39.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he was the defensive coordinator when they beat us in Super Bowl 39. We talked before the game and everything. We talked before the game. Yeah. He was the defensive coordinator when they beat us.
So, a question for you. A kid from Cincinnati, like you said, from the inner city there. You come to Michigan State. You bust your butt, work your way there, and now you get that call. You're a fit. Get drafted. You're in the league.
Yeah.
What was the first big purchase?
Dude, I had the Lincoln Navigator. I bought in '98. The Navigator, I think it just came out. So
heavy.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing. I was already 10 grand in the hole by the time I got drafted.
10. Hey, that's light nowadays.
Yeah. Listen, I took out a line of credit with my agent.
Yeah.
So he got the card. Now it's all legal. This is after my eligibility was up in Michigan State and everything.
Statute of limitations has exhausted.
And so back then, you could take out a loan from them as long as you agree to repay it. So he had I took out the loan with my agent. He got the car for me, and then I was in the whole 10 grand with him already before we even started. Yeah, before we even started, I was already in the hole.
In the hole. I mean, so you go 5th round. I remember that 98. You got drafted. I mean, that was one of them times. I mean, we were all excited for you. I wasn't a big pro football guy at that time, like knowing the fan bases like I do now. Yeah. And I know the Philly fan base and like how that city, I mean, come on, man. Maybe Buffalo rivals them, but I don't know. Like Philly is like, it embodies everything that
Hold on. No, the Buffalo Bills fans rival it. Okay.
Yeah.
I give it the Bills Mafia. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they serious now.
Yeah.
Just so much that, the Philly, I'm going to let you get back to there, but you guys had to go to Western New York, my hometown, and get your coach, Coach Sirianni.
Oh, man. Here we go.
Yeah.
Where you had to get your coach from.
I'll throw this back at him. The head coach of the Buffalo Bills was with the Philadelphia Eagles when I played with the Eagles.
Okay.
That staff up there. I know half of that staff up there because they coached me in Philadelphia. Yeah.
Okay. See, see, folks, you get a chance to see like players from two of the, I think those are the two top fan bases in the NFL. There's the Cowboys and all that.
No, straight. No.
Hey, see that on cue.
Cowboys,
Man, I've been to some of them games, and it's like criminal activity that's going
Exactly.
on in the parking
Yes.
lot. I'm like,
Yes.
hey man, it's just a game. No, it's not. You know. So, hey, man, like, so, all right, man. You're in Philadelphia, which fits like your, you know, like who you are, man.
It couldn't be. I couldn't have landed in a better place, Trey. I couldn't have landed in a better place. And the crazy thing is, when I first got here, it was not all that sweet when you look at the football team. My rookie year, we were 3-13, worst record in franchise history. And our coach, Ray Rhodes, wound up getting fired after my rookie year. And so obviously fans aren't going to be happy with where the football team is at that time. And it's a fan base that I think is often misunderstood. I think it's often terribly portrayed as to what type of fan base they are. Of course, they are passionate. They love their sports teams in this town. It's not like for some cities, you know, the sports teams are an escape, a getaway, you know, sort of something to do in some cities. In Philadelphia, these teams, it's their lifeline. It's what's in their blood. And there's no other team that epitomizes that than the Philadelphia Eagles for this fan base. So they are very passionate. And I think if you played here, it wouldn't take you long to come to appreciate it. I think when you hear about them from the outside, it seems like, oh man, that's got to be the worst fan base in the world. They boo their own players, all this other stuff. Until you come here and play for them, and you realize, yeah, when you don't play well, they're gonna let you know about it. By the way, as they should let you know about it. But when you do play well and you're winning, it's 100 times the amount of love that you're going to be shown and given than the criticism when things aren't going well. And athletes today, quite frankly, you don't deserve a pat on the ass if things aren't going well, if you aren't winning, if you aren't putting forth your best effort. You know, these people are hardworking people. They spend a lot of money to come to these games. They spend a lot of money on merchandise. And players need to care. If you're going to play in this town, you would better care about winning and losing as much as these fans care about it, or you're not going to last here. In other words, you better put forth the effort, and when the results aren't what we all hope they to be, the last thing these fans want to hear, oh, it's just a game. We'll be all right. We'll get them tomorrow, this and that and the other. Nah, that's not going to work here. And the sooner you figure that out, the better off you're going to be as an athlete in this town. And guess what? It ain't changing. It ain't changing, brother. Yeah.
No, sir.
The names on the back of the jersey change, but the fans don't change, brother. The fans, these are their teams, and they're going to be here when we're gone. So, yeah, you better get adjusted versus trying to change their way of thinking, because that ain't happening.
No, it ain't going down like that, man. Like thinking about the Eagles, you know, you got to a few Super Bowls in your career, right?
No,
or just one Super Bowl.
Now you know what that says? That says we were in position to get to a few Super Bowls and we didn't get there.
That's what it says.
Who? I'm gonna put you on the spot here, and you don't have to answer it. Who cost you that Super Bowl? Donovan or T.O.?
What are you trying to do to me? I'm gonna tell you what cost us that Super Bowl. Not playing our best football that day. Like when you're in that game, man, and you're playing against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, you can't have an off day and win. So, like, that might have been our second worst game of the season. We lost to Pittsburgh that year. I don't even think we showed up for that game early in the season that year. And then we lost to New England. To me, those are the only two real games we lost that year, and we played terrible in both of those games. The other games out of that season, we played great in, but in the Super Bowl, you can't play bad. And honestly, there was enough bad on the defense and the offense to cost us that game. I can't put it on my teammates, man. Can't put it on we all got to take that blame. We all got to take that blame.
I can't follow for that shit.
I've been doing this too long.
Right. Talking about that. So because you're in the.
But listen, you got to ask the question. He has to ask.
You got to ask the question.
It's all good.
You have to ask a question. People said it was a savage question. Who said that? Was that Rolanda? That's a savage question. Who was your favorite teammate in the pros? That's from Dougie Fresh.
My favorite teammate? Oh God.
Yes.
I plead the fifth on that too. So I got way too many teammates that I love, man. Like,
give us your top three.
I love like brothers. Nope, I'm not doing it. Because eventually this clip will be out there somewhere. And there's no way you guys are getting me to name three of my teammates.
But you didn't hang with everybody all the time.
That's true.
So who'd you hang with? That's all.
Who mentored you in the pro? Who helped your game?
Okay. There we go. I can handle that.
Yeah.
All right, so I came in. I was fortunate. I had two old heads that really took me under their wing and helped me understand what it meant to be a pro. Mike Caldwell, who's actually the defensive coordinator of the Jags right now. He was my old head when I came into the league. And then I had William Thomas, who was the starting starting outside linebacker for the Eagles. And I basically was his backup when I came into the league. So those are the two players that kind of helped me adjust to being a pro. But here's the funny thing, fellas. I had guys like Troy Vincent, Brian Dawkins, Bobby Taylor, Jeremiah Trotter. Like these guys were like my support group. Like these guys were like they always tell you, surround yourself with good people. Like I really was fortunate enough to surround myself with some good people, man, with good brothers that had their heads on straight, that wasn't necessarily caught up in the NFL limelight and flash and dash. They always thought about one day the game is going to end. Then what are you going to do? What are you going to do when the game is over with for you? And you can't run and jump and play football anymore. So to me, those are the guys that are lifelong friends. And it's plenty more of them. Brian Mitchell, I can go on and on, but these are guys that I gravitated to that had a greater impact on me off the field, and my life after football may be greater than they did than what I applied to the game and what I was able to do on the field of football. And so you guys know, man, the crowd is going to stop cheering at some point for all us as athletes. And then what do we have next in our lives as a passion and a plan? And all of those guys helped me understand that life after football is just as important right now as you playing right now. And you had better start planning for life after football. And I'm glad I had those guys around me. Else I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't have those guys around me.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And, because there's a lot of things when you first go in. I remember my rookie year when I was in there, I was blessed to be under, I was backing up Tony Richardson, a guy.
I know T-Rich. T. Rich, man.
And he's the one that told me, I'll be talking, hey, T-Rich, when we going to practice? Like, yeah, you're going to work. Right. Like words like that, to just teach you to be a pro. And when you say those things, because at the next level, it's a cutthroat business. It's a business at the NFL. But if you can find, 1, 2, 3, 4 people that you can, like you said, surround yourself with to teach you those lessons for afterwards, then that's success in itself there, right there.
Don't get me wrong. My first year or two, I probably was around the wrong people in the locker room.
I mean, think about it. Like you name the names you named, those are like Hall of Fame quality names. And you're saying that they were like the guys, the stand-up guys in that locker room, which makes you understand why you guys had such a run at the Super Bowl championships. I mean, that was quality people you had there, and it's wise to be an understudy, if you will, with people of that caliber, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. I tell my kids that all the time. Surround yourself with people that can help you elevate who you are, not necessarily pull you down or wanting you to carry them. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with having people around you that can help you think and see things out of the box and the norm of what you're accustomed to. And so, I sat back, and whether I admire those guys for the type of athletes they were, because they were all phenomenal NFL players, or whether or not I admired them for the type of father they were, husbands they were, followers of Christ. Like those things, I sat back and I observed and I said, you know what? Those are the type of men I would want my son to emulate and sort of be like and admire. So why wouldn't I want some of that in me? You know what I mean? To help improve who I am as a person. And so, like I said, I was fortunate to be around those type of players. And those players are, even to this day, if you follow them on social media and you see what they're doing, you wouldn't be surprised, because it's what they did as players. And now they've carried that until life after football. They are still doing that, helping people, being pillars in their communities, always trying to uplift others as opposed to tear down others. And so, we all strive to be better in our lives, but there's nothing wrong with having that sort of support group around you where you can lean on guys who will also hold you accountable, and let you know, that's probably not something you should be doing, or you know that's not who you are. Let's get back on the right path. And so, man, that allowed me to have a 9-year career, and more importantly, that allowed me to do what I'm doing right now, which I love. I've been doing it for 16 years on the radio.
Right.
I've been doing it for 16 years. Yeah, 16 years. So having that sort of mindset allowed me to stay focused and have a goal and plans. And I feel like I'm better for it.
Great. So it wouldn't be, I would lose my journalism pin if I didn't ask the hard-hitting questions here. So I'm going to put you through a rapid fire before we let you go here.
Okay.
All right. Rapid fire. Best place to get a cheesesteak in Philly.
Oh, God. You really are putting me in a bad. You really are putting me in a bad.
I'm a Geno's guy.
No, nothing wrong with Geno and Pat. Nothing wrong with Pat and Geno. But Philadelphians consider that more of a tourist
Okay.
sort of place.
What about Max's?
Yeah, you got to go to places like Max's, D'Alessandro's, Jim's. Like you got some places out there that you got to kind of go to the mom and pop shops, not necessarily the tourist attractions.
Okay, I'll
Man,
let you
trying to get me kicked out of the city or something?
I would lose my journalism pin if I don't ask the tough questions. All right, so most memorable win at Michigan State.
Oh, no doubt. 1995. We smacked the scum up 28-25, baby.
Yeah, we had Tom Banks on here. He talked about it. We went through the whole play, the whole last final series.
Yes,
Okay.
Was out there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that best favorite watering hole in East Lansing.
The bingo hall.
In Lansing. Lansing.
Okay, so I gotta go with either Land Sharks or Rick's. One of those two.
Those are the two best. Those are the two best.
Yes.
When I was there, those were the two best.
Yes.
Land Sharks and Rick's.
Yep.
Oh man.
I said the bingo hall, my bad.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah,
This has been great.
it.
Let me tell you one thing, like Ike, one thing that everybody that's a Spartan fan, that if you weren't around during this time when Ike played, and for those of you who were, this is the iconic picture of you when you're coming off the field in your last game at Spartan Stadium.
Wow.
Look at that. And the tears coming down, man. I mean, that embodies what the game meant to you and what you meant to the game. I mean, we really appreciate you being here, man, and look forward to having you on again anytime, because this is what we do. You know, in the industry, man. This is easy.
Man, listen.
It's great.
I love my time there, and I can't wait to get back up there this summer. I can't wait to see you guys up there this summer, hang out with the fellas. Man, once a Spartan, always a Spartan, bro. You know that, man. Stray, I got a lot of love for you, brother.
Absolutely.
Likewise. Jehuu, we didn't play together, but you and I have had plenty of conversations.
Yes.
A lot of communications with each other, brother.
I remember. I got to say this. I got to say this story. I know Stray and Pete back there is going to yell at me, but I never, knew Ike. Like he said, we didn't play together. Anything. I didn't even have his number. I was going to Philly one time, and I was like, man, it's Spartan Dawgs in there. And I wanted to take my brother-in-law to a Sixers game. I was like, oh, Ike Reese, he's in Philly. He played in Michigan. Hey, Ike, hit him up on Twitter. Hey, Ike, Spartan Dawg, blah, blah, blah. I'm coming to Philly. Can you hook me up with tickets? Hey, man, here's my number, blah, blah, blah. He had me set up. Made me look good.
No, you got to, man. We got to look out.
Called the King of Philly. That's beautiful, man. No, we love that, man. The interaction between Spartan Dawgs is always love. I appreciate you. Look forward to having you again, and we're going to see you this summer.
Yes, sir, man. Anytime, fellas. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks.
Spartan Dawgs, baby. Spartan Dawgs.
Yes, sir. For life. All right. Hey, man, look, that was a good show.
Really good.
And it's not too long for everybody, so I think it's good. Don't forget, look, Ike Reese is the man. I mean, look, can we see that photo one more time? Ike coming off the field. Look at that, man. Hey, need we say more about what Ike Reese means to the Spartan Dawgs and the legacy that he had when he was here? Hey,
that says it all. That picture says it all.
That says it all, man. Hey, look, great show, Choo-Choo, for Otis Wiley, who's on assignment down in Jumanji Land. For Jehuu Caulcrick, I'm Jason Strayhorn. This is Sparta. Have a good night. God bless, and go green.
Go white.
This is Sparta MSU as a combined presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties. The show is produced by Pete Menez with additional support from Tony Costella. Operations and social media support is provided by Alicia Strayhorn with support from Cecily Max Brown. On-location technical support is provided by Good Fruit Video. Be sure to follow our hosts Jason Strayhorn, Jehuu Caulcrick, and Otis Wiley on social media. To stay up to date with all the latest, this is Sparta News. Please like and subscribe by visiting our link tree and tell a friend to do the same. Thank you for your support, and as always, go green.